I'm really excited to speak with our panelists today. As Eric said, my name is Simone McKelvey, and I'm the director of the Launchpad Student Success Center and also the owner of a small business called City Grow Stokes. But today is not about me. It's about these wonderful panelists we have. We have Lizetta Braxton, Ina Montgomery, and Diana Wilson. And I want to give them an opportunity just to introduce themselves and explain a little bit about what they're doing. And then I will have some questions for you. Let's start with you, Lizetta.
Oh, certainly. Hello, everyone. My name is Lizetta Rainey Braxton. I hold two roles. One as co-CEO of 2050 Wealth Partners. It's a 100% virtual-based, fee-only financial planning and wealth management firm. And then in the other hat, I wear as CEO of Lizetta and Associates. It's a DEIB, diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging strategy firm, also virtual as well too. And I'm delighted to join you all today.
Diana, and then Ina, please.
Perfect. Welcome everyone. I am Diana Wilson. I'm so honored to be here with you all. I am the lead servant and founder of Yielding Accomplished African Women. We are an EdTech nonprofit building the largest platform for Black college women in STEM to thrive, as well as to ensure that they have access to social capital, access to the resources and content they need to develop their careers, and lastly, access to the opportunities to be able to ensure they obtain a six-figure career in STEM. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Eric. I don't know what I did or was doing on my end, but I am in and can see and hear. My name is Ina Montgomery. I am the founder and executive director of Urban Tech, where the TEC is the acronym for Technology Empowered Communities. And I work based out of Kansas City, Missouri. And I work to help close the digital literacy divide in urban schools and communities.
Wonderful. Thank you all for introducing yourselves. And now I'm going to start asking some questions. We also just want this to be a conversation too. So there may be times that I seem to go off the beaten path, but it'll be based on something that you've already shared. So just want to enjoy the conversation. So my first question for anyone who wants to begin is, what motivated you to begin the journey that led you to what you're doing today?
I would say for me, I would attend different meetings throughout the community. And I would say about 7 to 10 years ago, and would always hear comments about not enough training, digital skills training within the urban core. And I just decided that's something that I could do with my background, with my experience. And so I set the path towards forming Urban Tech to provide the training, the education, the programs, the exposure, the engagement for specifically Black kids in the urban core. And so that's kind of how my journey started.
I'll go next. For me, my why was very much based in my upbringing. I saw my parents as the oldest child struggle with finances, and I wondered why. Was it due to systematic issues, or was it really due to a lack of education in that space? Coming from a rural town in Virginia, it was a combination of the two. So I was just determined to figure out this whole personal finance and wealth management in a way that would serve more than just the 1%. And so that kind of sparked my interest in becoming a certified financial planner and started my own firm, and then later merging with another colleague as well too. And as a part of thinking about wealth, for me and for a lot of first generation wealth, our biggest asset is us, you, human capital. And so I anchor my work in making sure that our financial planning clients are maximizing their human capital actively and passively as well too. And then that ties to DEIB. If you're not able to bring your full selves, to the workplace, then you can't maximize that human capital. So I help financial services firms ensure that they are taking care of their biggest asset, which is their people. So that's kind of how the two firms work together. And I am happy to report that my parents are now retired, which that makes me feel really great. And retired comfortably, let me put it that way.
I love it. And so for myself, similar to a lot of stories you may have heard of founders and CEOs today, it was actually out of, my own boundaries and the framing that people put on me as a young girl. And so one beautiful aspect that I actually gained from UVA was understanding the theoretical and the systemic aspects of what I had experienced in a micro way, but understanding the macro reality of it. And as a young Black girl, there really isn't a point where you do not notice your restrictions and your limitations, whether it is out of love or out of protection. It is always really inculcated into your life, especially if you come from a certain neighborhood, which I did. I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, and so out of safety precautions and out of love, I was always told where I couldn't go, what time I had to be in the house, all these different things to make sure I was protected and I was safe. But there was always an essence of reminding me of what I couldn't do, what I couldn't do, what I couldn't do. And as you go throughout life, especially as a woman of color and especially as a Black woman, you are consistently reminded, either explicitly or implicitly, what you can't do, where you're not seen, where you're not supposed to go, where there aren't role models like you. And when it comes to technology, when it comes to finance, you see how exasperated that is in those fields. When you want to think of Black female Fortune 500 CEOs, I believe there's two. And when you want to think of top Black women in finance or in tech, you really have to do your research. Probably none of you guys here can tell me one just off your head, but you can easily tell me Bill Gates. You can easily tell me Steve Jobs. And so that experience, coupled with my college experience and my access to these things through mentors and people at UVA, I said I wanted to democratize that. It shouldn't be everyone who just gets the opportunity to go to UVA or gets the opportunity to be favored by their guidance counselors or be favored by people from the comm school to be able to understand these opportunities and have them. And it's usually those who are in the under-resourced programs, in the under-resourced communities that definitely will not have them. And so to be able to democratize that access, that knowledge, and those resources is why I started this, because there quickly could have been another way that my story and my reality went different. And I was really blessed for it to not go that way. But for all of the other opportunities or all the other options it could have went, how can we make sure that we close the gap and make it as easy and as effective as possible for Black women who are interested in STEM to go after their passion, go after their dreams, and know that they're able to do it and have the support behind them.
That's wonderful. I was at the beach a couple of months ago and I heard a young man who had his daughter with him. And she was saying, I can't swim, I can't do it. And he was like, no, you're strong, you can do it. And I loved that, just watching that, because I thought, just like you said, Diana, Diana. I have a Diana in my office, I apologize. But Black women, women of color, men of color, Black men, all of us need to be told that we're strong and we can. And when you're told that you can't go someplace or you can't do something, sometimes it's out of love and protection, but it can diminish. And so I'm excited that it hasn't done that to any of us in this room. And we want everyone who's on this call to be encouraged that they're strong and they can as well. So my next question for you all is, in what ways have finance and tech opened doors for you? And how do you see it opening doors for future generations?
I can jump in there. I truly believe that finance is a system that will consistently be the foundation and like serve as a bedrock for our society, because anything on this earth requires finances, you know? And so that's that. And then technology, as we've seen ever since, you know, the 1990s, has been instrumental in shaping our lives, shaping how we live our lives, shaping what we do, how we do it. If you just even think back, you know, and we laugh about it all the time, but from Blockbuster to Netflix, you know, from being able to barely call someone to being on a Zoom platform where we can meet from across the world and literally have conferences in every continent and it's okay and everyone has access. And so when you look at these two areas, you can not you there it would be very ignorant for you to not see the impact that they're going to have in the future. And so for me, I always wanted to be in the place where I knew the impact and the money was circulating. And so at UVA, I made sure that I did a lot of internships. So I was with McKinsey, I was with JP Morgan and PwC, and I really wanted to understand how money moves and how this world of finance is interconnected. And it showed me powerfully that money is actually very centralized in our world. There are very few people who have it, and then there are kind of like the rest of us. And so there is a need for that, like pulling of resources in a more equitable, more just way. And when you look at technology, whenever you think of technology, for good or bad, think of legacy. When someone is able to build a technology, they're able to impact your tomorrow today. When Steve Jobs created iPhones, long time ago, we don't even know the exact date when he actually founded the idea. Today, we are still being impacted and he's long dead and gone. Rest his soul. And so when you think about technology, you think about the legacy, you think about something that can be integrated and impact someone's life for the long haul. And so that is why I got into technology, because I saw that the way to fuse those resources in the fastest, most scalable way was to figure out a technology that would democratize that process. And so when we're thinking, even now we're seeing with like blockchain or Web3 or crypto, this is a technology that is taking financial resources and democratizing it, right? And so we're in a world and we have a kind of ethos, especially in the younger generations, that we want to see democratized access. And that means democratized money and democratized economic pools. And so technology, I've seen as a Googler, as a founder, as someone working in a lot of these corporations in the past, that technology is the fastest and most scalable way to do it. And so that's how it impacted me. And that's how it even led me to create a technology platform for my nonprofit.
I love how Diana said, you know, for the rest of us, because that's how I identify myself, financial planner for the rest of us. And it was a hard road for me as a Gen Xer, because I was, you know, married to another UVA or married to another UVA alum, and with career changes. So as a financial planner, one, people are like, financial planner is only for the wealthy. And then two, if you were a financial planner, then they wanted someone who was local to them. So as we kept moving and moving, as a founder, start. I'm like, my God, it is so hard to serve people who don't even believe that they deserve to work with you. And so I'm just happy that technology has changed such that, you know, our firm now is virtual, was before the pandemic happened, and it allowed us to meet people where they are. Who has time to leave their offices at that time, you know, to go see a financial planner? I mean, it's hard alone just trying to get medical appointments and dentist appointments and the like. And as Diana said, finances is so integral as a part of your life. and one that has not been historically offered in undergrad, let alone in high school as well too. Making it accessible has been so important to me. And now with technology, we're able to scale and serve more people more efficiently, you know, with automation of some of the engagement while also having the human touch as well. And so as we see kind of markets change with more transparency with blockchain and NFTs in terms of democratization of assets and wealth, I am excited to see the next generations, the millennials and Gen Zs, taking ownership to say, I want to be a part of this movement. I deserve to be a part of this movement, and really challenging those who have been the protectors of education, financial education and wealth, to say it doesn't just belong to you as well. So it's an exciting time in financial services to see the new generation demand change because they are the innovators. And I'm just trying to keep up. So I'm hanging out with the Dianas of the world. And we have two associate financial planners, for one senior now just got promoted who's 24. My business partner is a millennial in her mid 30s. And so I just encourage those who may not feel like you have a voice because of the hierarchy of generations to own it, because we need to.
I appreciate you mentioning the generations, Lizetta, because I'm a baby boomer. And when I was coming up, there was no talk of S&P. There was no talk of, well, there was talk. I was not exposed to that talk, let's put it that way, of, you know, bear markets. And so when I look at, I forgot the name of the show I watch on Sunday morning, I feel like now I'm trying to play catch up, like, you know, understand this financial language and the financial landscape of just, you know, understanding investments. And so, you know, it would seem that I would probably know that, but that's just, that was not my space. And so now knowing that, you know, I need to have some kind of appreciation of that as a boomer, and I'm probably late in the game. I'm sure there's other boomers who are out there, but that just was not it just was not on my radar. So I am taking time, like I said, right now to try to understand all of that finance information, and then looking at the intersection of finance and technology, you know, some of the things that you guys have mentioned, but then also knowing that during the pandemic, a lot of, I forgot the percentage, but there were a lot of young Black kids who did go online and started doing e-trading, making investments, trying to understand the market, even if it was just penny investing, you know, and some people were a little bit more aggressive as they started understanding how investments work. And we know that it's a long game, but for some, they were seeing some short dividends, and they're still in there. And so I'm excited to know that for generations that they're doing that, and that hopefully from my range as a boomer to, I don't even know what the Gen Xers or whatever they're called, I'm not even sure who's coming up next, that, you know, they will be actively engaged in the, because of the technology tools. I think that draws them, and then it makes it easier for them who are tech savvy to look at the financial landscape and get actively engaged. And so I'm excited to see that. Like I said, I'm still trying to educate myself. I can definitely come to a Lizetta, save myself some time, but I do want to know about it as well. And so, and I commend you, Diana, a good job for you, you know, going to those different houses, looking at, you know, learning what you could from them, and then starting your own thing, because that was a good strategy. Don't know if that was intentional or not, but it definitely seems to have worked for you. I see you shaking your head no. So good job on making that happen.
Thank you. It wasn't though.
Well, I heard Diana mention legacy, which is right along the lines of what I wanted to ask next. And that's related to, if you all were to fast forward 20 years from now, what would you want to be the reality related to financing tech and the populations that you serve? What do you want to be true, and what do you want to have accomplished if we are 20 years in the future?
I will say for me a couple of things. So the name of our firm is 2050 Wealth Partners. We're leaning into the fact by the year 2050, the U.S. will be a racial mosaic, and we want wealth to transfer along with that. You said 20 years is a little bit more than that. If it happens sooner, we're all for it, and we're working very hard to get there. And what that does mean, and we've kind of said this in many ways, that particularly for people of color who, in terms of the wealth gap, the income gap, have struggled for, since the country has been founded, we be honest, is that we can stop having some of the same conversations about the gaps as well, and continue to close them as much as possible. And I would love to see more Black CFPs and people of color. I mean, right now that percentage is less than 2%, and it's been a fight to make sure that those who are interested in financial services stay and get certified and be able to bring the next generation along, and also learn how to bring forces together so that we can scale our businesses too. So I would just love to see more people of color who are making way, because it is true. A lot of people want to work with financial advisors who understand the cultural nuances that they are going through and honor those as well. And there's just too few of us, just too few of us.
Yeah, I would like to see the trend, as I mentioned, during COVID, a lot of, I guess, the millennials and Gen Xers being engaged and understanding, again, the financial landscape, continuing to participate and grow their interest and influence, their friends. I wish I can remember a t-shirt, but I'm even seeing messages on t-shirts. And so for me, that's very encouraging, where they are interested in being in the financial game, understanding financial markets and how they can take advantage of those passive incomes. And so I'm just excited about the outlook that I think that will come over time as the kids change their mindset towards understanding finances, and then passing that on to their generation and then another generation. So within, hopefully, 20 to 25 years from now, we've got more engagement, we've got more people knowledgeable and understanding the world of finance. And so that's what I'm projecting or looking forward to hopefully happening.
And for me, 20 years of impact, such a powerful question, because we have really some 2030 goals. So for those of you who may not know, just some quick stats. By the year 2030, the largest youth population, 42% of the largest global youth population, will be Black. They will be from Africa specifically. So that means the largest female youth population in the world will be Black women. And then in that same year of 2030, most industries, especially the industries that are fastest moving, such as tech, will have a huge labor deficit, causing up to $1 to $2 billion in lost revenue due to the lack of human capital they have. And so at Yielding Accomplished African Women, we're thinking about these statistics and these numbers constantly, because there's a grave opportunity here with these statistics to show us that this is now the time to make sure that we intentionally make decisions that will lead to outcomes that will influence these statistics, right? If there is a labor deficit, and we know that the youth population in the world is booming year after year and towards the next decades, and specifically that population is mostly going to be of Black people. If we don't train those Black people, then we are definitely not going to see that potential match come to play. And so with YAW, specifically for Black women, we believe we are training and building an ecosystem of the next, they call them unicorn founders, which means they've raised $1 billion or more for their startup. So we are raising the next unicorn founders. We are raising the next CEOs and C-suite executives. We are raising the next Nobel Peace Prize winners in STEM fields. We even have one of our alumni here today, Tamisha, who just accepted her offer to do her master's in biomedical engineering at Johns Hopkins, all the way from Accra, Ghana, right? And so we believe 20 years from now, we expect her to take that master's in biomedical engineering, to take her experience with YAW, to take her forming and her development and use it into ways that she wants to build biomedical technologies that would change the world, especially as a young African woman. We all know how crazy the statistics can get when it comes to Black women's health. And so things of that nature. And so when I see YAW 20 years from now, we will at least have 30,000 women that we have impacted, that have gone through our program and our platform. And we want to be able to see those statistics and those placements in some of the things that I just said. But most importantly, we just want to really close the gender and racial gap in tech and finance fields. Currently, as a Googler, and I can tell you for most top tech companies, Black women in technology are less than 1%. At almost every, what is Google, it's Twitter, it's Meta, whatever you want to, whichever one you want to look at, and you can find it online. They actually report on these things in their diversity reporting. It's less than 1%. And usually the total amount of Black people they have at their company is 3% or less. And so this is to just even raise it up to 13%, which is the amount of the percentage of African American people in America, that even would be the goal, right? How are we at less than 1%? And so I think those are some of the statistics and the things that cloud my mind a lot.
Anna, were you about to share something?
What's she saying?
Were you about to share? Okay, I didn't cut you off. So based on the things that you all just shared of looking forward and that we are going to be a mosaic in the year 2050, how do you and how can you encourage the participants today to combat self-doubt? Because I know that sometimes it's come up if we look at the systemic issues that unfortunately have existed and still exist. How do you fight against doubting yourself and feeling like, well, I can't go into tech, or I can't go into finance, or I can't be a CFO? How do you do that?
I think this webinar is one of those great steps. You know, you say all the time, you want to see, or you should see what you can be. And so with the social media in its good form, and those who are very active, you can see a lot that we didn't have the opportunity to see on TV or even in our own communities as well too. So I'm empowered by the use of social media in ways that allows voices to be heard and to be followed and to be recognized as well. So that's a good thing in terms of technology when it's used well. The other thing that comes to mind is particularly with financial planning. One of the questions we ask in our discovery meeting, because we do EQ, not just IQ, and we see a lot in terms of EQ, is the question of what are you most proud about when it comes to your finances? And for a lot of our Black clients, that stumped them, because there has been so much pressure that we put on ourselves to outperform that we think we've never accomplished when we've accomplished so much. So within our, I would say for founders, particularly of color, it's our responsibility to tease out some of those undercurrents that keep us from being as successful as we are, and to own our success and contributions to the world, and also know that there are resources where our limitations end in terms of people doing the work. And we encourage a lot of people to do therapy work, because there has been a lot of forces that have impacted what we think the imposter syndrome, when we have so much to be proud about, and to let our voices be heard, to bring other people along and inspire as well too.
I work with K through 12 students. And so for me, it's planting that seed of, you know, the seed of wealth, if you will. You know, you might be from an impoverished area, but that does not have to be your destiny. That does not have to be where you end up. And so take the time to learn, to understand, and then be consistent. And so I know whenever I do my activities with the kids, I'm always like, I always have something fun at the end, but then I always say we have to do our work first. There's always time to play, but you have to get the work done first. And so planting that mantra in their head, because I say it every time I'm around them, work first, work first. And then I can hear the kids repeating, work first, work first. And they're excited to do the work, knowing that I'm going to have, small box of nerds or a piece of Smarties, to give them in the end. And so they know the reward, but they know they've got to finish first. And then what I like is that I set my standards high. And so they know, hey, is this okay, Miss Ina? Do I need to do it over? And so they're concerned with the quality. And I just love that. And so for me, that's instilling a work ethic. We're not just going to do it, but we're going to do it right. And so if they kind of come half to me or try, I'm like, no, I don't think that's your best. And so just planting those seeds of, doing your best, following through, hard work, and hopefully they can take that and know as they continue to grow and develop, they're always going to know I've got to get my work done first before I can play. And I tell them, if you get your work done first, you're going to have that money if you need it to play. But if you don't work, you've got to put the work in at some point to get a return on what you're doing. And so just trying to, like I said, plant those seeds, help them with those, understanding those principles that are going to make them be successful in life. That's kind of where I like to focus with the kids.
I personally love this question. I'm a faith-based person, and that has really shaped a lot of this answer and the solution for me. But irregardless of your faith background or lack thereof, I believe that everyone can commonly say that there is a desire that we all have to feel valued, and for others to see our value. And inherent in that feeling is an understanding that you have value, right? And I think that most people miss that connection, that the constant desire for you to hope that people see your value is kind of the assumption that you have a value and that there's something specifically that people need to see. And so growing up for me as the last born, as a dark-skinned woman, as a first generation student, really figuring out the duality of being like Ghanaian, but then being like just Black to some people, and all of these different things, it always caused me to seek validation and flexibility in my value, right? I constantly thought, okay, well, the people who see me Ghanaian, let me make sure that I can have the ad libs and the jokes, and I know the proverbs and things like that. And the people who think that, because back then being African wasn't cool, it wasn't Wakanda back then. It was like, that's not it, right? So for those people, like, how can I make sure that seem as Black as possible. Like let me let them know that, you know, I listen to TLC, like I'm down for everything. 90s R&B, like this is me. And so I constantly was reworking my value and my who I was based off of what I thought other people would enjoy. And so when it comes to the question of doubt and doubting yourself, it's always at the root of not understanding clearly who you are and not understanding clearly that value and how that value is unshakable. And so whether you get in front of someone who does not see the value, that does not change what it is. Whether we go to the grocery store and we don't see the value, for example, in organic eggs, right? The eggs are going to be organic, they're going to be there, and whoever wants to buy them and pay the up charge will do that, right? And there's no one over here sad or trying to crazily market you to make sure you get organic eggs. And I think that once we kind of take that in and we accept it, that um, anything that is valuable will attract people. And sometimes it will attract a specific type of person. And for the other people who don't come or do not see it, that doesn't diminish the value. I love mangoes. Any mango tree I would love to pick fruit from. Other people, my brother who's Ghanaian, hates mangoes. That doesn't change the value of a mango. It changed the person and the focus and the target of who's going to come get the mango. And so that is really what I've had to hold on to, remind myself, and to teach all of my students with, that your value is inevitable. You have to speak it, you have to live it, and you have to develop it. But you can never let anybody, any space, or any person, any atmosphere make you feel like that value is inconsistent or untrue or shakable because they don't see it.
I love that.
This is so interesting. And I say this interesting. Another role I have is I'm married to clergy. And so I too, just for me personally, just because I'm married to clergy doesn't always mean that you follow the same principles. But I do. And one of why I say interesting is just seeing this shift in how the younger generation identifies with spirituality, which has been kind of a core of the Black church experience in the US, and for the Black church also being the hub for a lot of things that have happened: education, finances, leadership opportunities, etc. And it's the only reason why I can do the work that I'm doing now, because the forces are so strong, and it is hard to stay encouraged, to stay motivated, to rebound from the hits that constantly come your way as well. And so for those, I've chosen not to anchor my spirituality as something that is widely known in terms of titles, but more in terms of and in terms of actions. And I just encourage those, even if you don't identify with any religion or spirituality, I say find your source that's going to keep you inspired, covered, motivated, and just really honor your humanity in the way that you deserve to have those supportive, centric circles and energy surrounding you.
So I am shocked that we right now have about 17 minutes before we stop talking, because it's been such a great conversation. But very quickly, I want to ask you all, each of you have populations that you attempt to serve. What made you focus on that particular group? And then we'll take a moment for some questions from the participants.
Yeah, this is a quick and easy answer for me. So God help me, let me be quick and easy with the answer. But the most important people in my life are Black women. And that is not by intentional choice or anything, but my mother, my sister, my grandmother, have so incredibly influenced my life. They're so powerful. They're so gifted. They're so uh, multifaceted. And then it's like you live in a world that doesn't see that. And so I knew I always wanted to focus on Black women, because to me, it didn't make sense that my mom is like, till this date, working at some of the best companies in the world with some of the best talent in the world, haven't met someone as smart as her, or as able to take very novel things and put it in very, practical and effective ways for a diverse and inclusive group. Like, the way she thinks, her mindset, the mindset of a lot of Black women, the heart of a lot of Black women, the intentionality, the way we think, the way we frame things, because of our experiences, is just so unique. And until the world really gets to appreciate, see that, and pay for it, I knew that I didn't want to focus on anything but any group but Black women.
And I would say for me, hearing the terms underserved, disenfranchised, impoverished, and those are descriptors for our kids, for our babies. And that just got to me. And so I said, okay, this is, I think similar to what Diana's saying. The Lord put me here, not to do mission work, but if he's given me the skills and the talents and the knowledge and the wherewithal to know how to navigate these waters, I want to do it for those kids who don't have a voice, and do it for those kids who may not have somebody to help them or to represent them. So again, just using myself as a vessel for exposure, to connect them. And again, this is K through 12. I do a lot with middle school students. I do a lot with high school students as well. But just knowing where they come from. Honestly, some are homelessness, some are raising themselves, but they still need a chance. They still should be able to live their life and not think that their situation is it. So I get a passion for that. I get, very interested in that, and just knowing that where I'm placed right now is where I can make a difference and where I can have an impact. And so and for me, it's work. But it's work that I love. And everybody who talks to me is like, you have such a passion. And so for me, that's just confirmation that, I'm doing what I want. I'm doing what God intended for me to do, and I'm doing my purpose. And so that's how I believe He selected my audience for me, but I love the work that I do.
Yeah, and for me, I did an exercise. I posted to my Facebook group, my private Facebook group, asking what 3 words come to mind when you think of me. I'm going through this deep reflective journey, and one of the things that came up was courageous and even badass. So I'm like, okay, I'll take that one. And so my going joke for me is that Harriet Tubman and I have something going on. And I kind of chuckle because although, being anchored in Black, female, I also understand the power of bridges. And that's what Harriet did, right? She freed a lot of slaves, and then she ended up serving for the Union Army. You need white allies. And so for me being independent, I can say whatever I want to say. And trying to keep the witness is challenging and pushing people to get out of their comfort zone. That's the only way progress can be made by anyone, is to name truths and deal with them and address them. And so while I think a lot about, my parents and the inequities in the Black community, I also know where the resources are and want to channel those back to populations that deserve it and have earned it, and should have access to that as well too. So I find myself balancing, even during my time at UVA and thereafter, what it means to be a courageous bridge anchored in my Black female identity.
I will say that everything you all said, I completely agree with. And I will also say that there are times where it can be exhausting. And so you definitely need to do what you said, Lisetta, which is, make sure whatever your source of strength is. And for me, it's also my relationship with Jesus. And so that is where I go. And the close friends that I have, whether they're male friends or female friends, making sure that you're getting the energy that you need so that you can do the very hard work that each of you are doing. So I want to take a few moments before we finish up our time together and invite Eric to come back into the room. And he's going to share with us some questions that the participants have either dropped in the chat or shared with him. And while we wait for him to come back, and there he is, very good.
Great, thanks for welcoming back. I'm gonna do something a little bit different. Had kind of a couple questions come through, just not to everyone, but on the personal side there is just want to welcome everyone now to come back on video. I feel like we've got a little bit different session here that we're going a little bit deeper than we usually do, and I love it. So just want to welcome everyone to cut their video on, and we can spend the last 10 minutes just kind of doing Q&A like this. I think it'd be a great opportunity there. And I'll kind of start it off with one that has come through, kind of title of the session of, we say kind of empowering the future and kind of opening doors. With opening doors, it could also come with breaking down barriers. And so kind of the question was, how much has it been, is it tech and finance that y'all have seen that have really opened doors, but each of y'all have really spoke to really speaking into the individual and who they are and the value, who they are as a person. So almost speaking to that is the power that may be opening doors as well, like just from y'all's perspective.
Yeah, I firmly believe that transformation isn't real until there's mental transformation. And so within YAW, you can place someone and give them opportunities, give them the resources, give them the training. But if you don't really work on their mental transformation, you won't see the impact you want. And so things like having a Women Empowerment Week series of speakers, and just giving them time to ask questions to role models, or having sessions on self-efficacy and honor and what the YAWA is. We always start our programs, any program, doesn't matter if it's machine learning, doesn't matter if it's financial analysis, doesn't matter what it is, we always started with the YAWA. And this YAWA is very, very explicit and very, very strict in how we put it, that we expect you to be someone who's exemplary. And why is because one, you should seek to be that, and you already have it in you, but we want to push them to a place where they actually think they can do more than what they ever believed. And so a lot of times when people come through YAW, yes, they do get these amazing jobs, but when you read their testimonials, it's always it sounds very churchy. Someone told me that, all the YAW testimonials sound like, it's a testimonial line at church. And I was like, but because, a job can help you, but I don't believe a lot of times that most people go to a job and they experience transformation. Reading an article, getting understanding of how to do your LinkedIn and your resume, all that stuff is great, but will it really transform you? I don't know. I haven't seen that transform people at a very high level, but I know when I have these talks about who you are, what you can do, reinforcing that, shifting your mindset from even just the words you speak about, oh, I can't do this, I'm not a public speaker, I don't talk to people, I'm introverted, I'm just this and I'm just that. And we're like, we don't accept that here. You're not going to come here and say, like, just because you're an introvert means you can't successfully complete an interview. That doesn't make sense, right? That doesn't add up. And so we put a really kind of like strict, but like forceful environment that pushes you to say, like, you cannot be mediocre anymore. right? So if you came here with a mentality that you could be mediocre and live a mediocre life, we're going to push you to not be that anymore. And then whatever that looks like for you, we're going to work on it. So yeah.
I love that. As a firm, we've been talking about client engagement standards, not so much formal in terms of classes, even though we embed lots of conversations and appreciative inquiry in our process. And I love the idea of making people really think about and commit to, we keep saying the journey, and it is the mindset as well too. We've unfortunately had to fire some clients because our view is partnership that is balanced, even though we are a business and some people think, the client is always right. No, if they don't honor our humanity and how we're engaged as a service provider in this partnership, then it's not a good fit. And it should be some mutuality there as well too. So Diana, I love what you said. And in addition to our client engagement standards, really thinking about how to make sure that our culture as a firm is one that is honored and aligned even more closely with the people that we serve.
Well, Eric, I forgot the question, so you can go on to another one and I'll answer that.
That's it. Sounds great. Well, I'll just open it up in the last 4 or 5 minutes. Anyone that wants to ask a question before we close out the formal portion. And feel free to just come off mute and ask.
I just want to thank each and every one of you for coming on today and sharing your time. I'm from Hawaii, but I went to UVA undergrad. Ina, you might remember me, but you might not. It's been so many, many moons, but it's been a pleasure to listen to Dinah and Lizette as well. My key question, because we are at such a amazing place with COVID creating pivots in so many different ways and opportunities for Black wealth within technology, what would be the one key step to foster and generate Black wealth now and for intergenerational wealth along the way? And that's both in the technological sense, because without technology, I don't think you can pave the way into it. And then also financially, right? Like they're both interwoven. Thank you.
Wow. So I'm going to put my information, Lahelia Perry. Okay, so you guys, I was working on my master's when she was there at the Curry School. I'm sorry I got to do this, but her and I did a master's project of a book called A Day with Edie that we wrote about a slave girl, fictitious, at Thomas Jefferson's Monticello that I am pursuing to get published. And so I would love to connect with you. This is so wild because I'm going to Black Alumni Weekend in 2 weeks here, and I was going to showcase it there just to get some feedback. So I'm going to put my information in the chat. We've got to reconnect. That it's such a great book, and I'm going to get it published. So I'll let somebody else answer your question because I'm just so excited that this has been like what, 35, how many years? Since 1995?
Yeah.
This was meant to be. Are you okay?
We'll catch up.
We'll catch up.
I would say I understand what's going on macro, which means, thinking about COVID, and I'm also one that looks at micro. What is in your control, right? There's so many things that are out of your control. And going back to that mindset, you can't want for people who don't want for themselves. And that is really challenging when you are also working with a family unit. And when I mean family unit, if we're working with, let's say, another Gen X family, we're going to ask about your parents, you're going to ask about the kids, right? You're figuring out what the mindset, what values are in that system, so that when opportunities present itself, you can seize it. Because if you don't have the mindset, then you're not going to see the opportunities that are available or push for things that you deserve to have and be exposed to. So I encourage people to say, abreast of what's going on, what's available, have that curiosity. And if that curiosity should drive that you want something better for you, and those around you, opens up the soul to be able to spend the time, invest the time necessary to improve your situation and be disciplined about it as well too, and hopefully find joy in that journey as well.
Yeah, I actually, just to everything she said was so perfect, and I think that is like really it. He was also actually faith-based, but this faith-based financial, he's a financial planner, said something, these two things that really stuck out to me. He said that a lot of times what he sees the differences between white families and Black families or families of color is that white families have built wealth through knowledge, habits, and social capital. And I never heard someone say it that way. And I thought it was so powerful because the greatest form of wealth you can have is people. If you have the right people, you'll be a very wealthy person. Number two, a lot of times as people of color, we grow up seeing habits that are super detrimental to building wealth. And we unconsciously repeat those habits. And so that is something that I think is really critical that we don't talk about a lot, but like just habits, right? And even intentionally teaching your kids about finances as young as they can read, right? You can do it in so many ways. Even teaching them about like someone is using they're giving their children plants to teach them about finances. Like you have to water it, you have to grow it, you have to maintain it, you have to watch it, you have to know the inputs and the outputs. And they're using that to teach them finance. And I'm just like, that's a habit. They're now building habits of understanding how to take care, how to monitor, how to grow something. And that can really be applied to money because money is usually a mental thing. And then lastly, of course, back to the knowledge, just the knowledge of how to build your money, what to do with your taxes, how to, build a trust, what is a trust, all of these things. Most people that I'm around don't know what a trust is. They don't know why they should have life insurance. They don't know that you can take out life insurance on your newborn at like 6 weeks. They don't know all of these things. And I really think without knowledge, people tend to have bad outcomes. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the question there. It's been a quick hour. I just want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate the insight, and I know everyone else does that was able to join us, and not just about what y'all are seeing in y'all's organizations, but also the heart behind what y'all are doing, and also, as you were just talking about seeds, as the seeds that y'all are planting in future generations. So thank you for your time, and thank you for what you do.